It's also access that's on Channel 18, and you can also sign up for a webinar according to the rules on the website. Before we go to the agenda item, I just would like to say just a couple of things. First of all, wanted to say that Nancy James, one of our members, will be completing her term on the Affordable Housing Committee this month, and I want to thank her for her excellent work as our clerk and for her contributions to our work. Glad to have had you. We'll miss you, but we know you'll be involved as well, so thank you, Nancy. I also want to thank the voters of the town of Orleans. It seemed a long time since the May town meeting, but it's the first meeting after it. I just want to thank them who supported a record number, 8 warrant articles related to housing, all designed to increase funding and flexibility so that our housing production can go on and be improved. So thank you very much to them. And also, I want to congratulate the Housing Assistance Corporation for getting their the DHCD grant for $1.7 million, and they got it on the first round. So this is for 107 Main Street, and it's exciting because that brings that project much closer to beginning and fruition. So lots of things to be happy about this month. Our first order of business is the community engagement process evaluation. Backing up before the town meeting, we did a lot of work trying to get the message out, and I think we were successful, but now we'd like to do a little bit of evaluation on how that went, and so we'd know what to do next time. And I'll turn it over to Marcia.
Okay, I used as a format, the community engagement format, thinking that next time we can pull it out even earlier and have a little bit more time to prepare. But I think overall the format works. If you do have any suggestions on improving the format, let me know. So using that, I put in anything I could remember or I had an email about or that I knew about, but I have a feeling people did much more than that. So if people want to add things to this, either in terms of outreach and getting the message out or any other thing like that, then please let me know. I'll add it. Then we can enshrine it so that before the next town meeting, we have a sheet, a format, a procedure that we can pull out and start working on it. I don't know, Fran, if you saw anything else offhand. Fran did a lot of the work, so whether there was anything to add to this.
No, I just wonder if sometime we want to talk about a more, not outreach that doesn't necessarily have to focus on town meeting, but is a more general outreach like a flyer or a newsletter or just, I don't know what, but something more general is.
Absolutely. Now, when it says project, it doesn't have to be a town meeting. It can be general public education with some objective in mind, but I think that's a great.
Or as we do our housing needs assessment, I think
Yes.
obviously we're going to want to do
Yes.
some outreach at that point.
Yes.
I do think that's part of our consultants.
They're going to give us a lot of materials, but I think this committee and others may want to think about how to educate the results of the assessment once we do it, and maybe come up with a strategy to make sure that people know the results after we get them from the consultants. So that might be something we might do, but I think that's an excellent point.
Is it really expensive to like periodically send out back-to-back kind of flyer like you're mentioning, Fran, updating the community on kind of where we are, what's next? Is that an expensive thing to do, to send out to?
Well, it depends how.
Well,
If you want to do an email blast, you need an email
I was
list.
thinking more the old-fashioned paper copy.
Well, if you're talking about postage,
Yeah.
then it does cost a little bit.
Is there bulk mailing that you can use as a town committee, or?
I don't know. I don't know that that's generally done, right?
We could use funding from the trust if we wanted to do that.
We also
just
have,
ask for
we have
it.
money, we still have CPC money that we're
We
still,
do, but you have to think about whether a door-to-door mailing is really worth the effort and the money. You'd have to think about what the strategy is, about who you're trying to communicate with and with what purpose. If the more complicated it is, or the if it's one thing to do kind of thing, like a town meeting, it's different than if you just wanted general awareness of the state of housing in Orleans. So we'd have to think through the mechanism, the target population, and the way to communicate with our target population.
Andrea?
There's an absolute preference for us to use the investment we've made in the website and the electronic platform. And that costs us staff time to assist with the publication, but other than that, we've made the investment and few people are using the tool. So that would be great.
So any other additions? If you do see anything that is not included in it that you'd like to send me an email about, I'll be glad to add to it, but then we'll just be ready the next time we have a project, whether it's the next town meeting or whatever we decide with the
It's
project.
already going to be one in October, so there may be something coming up that's,
Right.
it isn't there one in October or not?
We'll be setting the date on tomorrow night for town meeting. But just a thought, Mia can, or Peggy can probably tell you how many hits you had on the videos. You had a video, and that may also be another way, just to send out a link, but have conversations with residents through those videos. It doesn't necessarily have to be a newsletter or a mailer. You might want the intimacy of somebody actually just talking.
Yeah, I did like the videos. I thought they were helpful, and, and I think we did send out a lot of emails ahead of time to a lot of different people, and I know that some people got them from some other people, that people were commenting on that, and they weren't sad about that. They were just glad to have noticed it. So I think people are getting used to receiving those things and passing them along, so.
I just want to compliment you all for all the work you did. I was out of commission for 2 months, and I just can see everything you did and the videos that were made and all the mailings, and kudos to you all. I think you did a great job.
Susan. And the best part was that it was positively received, which is even better, because sometimes you work really hard and you don't always get the result you want. So I was really proud of our town that people understand what we're up against. So.
Were you surprised that there was so little discussion on the floor of town
Thankful.
meeting? Thankful, yeah. I was kind of surprised, only because all 8 basically just went through.
Well, I'd like to believe that it's because we've been talking about
Good
it
education,
and people understand the problem. They weren't all at the end of the meeting, so everybody wasn't tired. So I think people, made good decisions.
Yeah.
Well, there was discussion over on the Governor Prince thing, because I think there was one not quite understanding of what that particular action was, but also because of understanding what you know about a housing project before you actually do it. Because we actually don't know what it's going to look like today. So a lot of people would say, well, and then there were some numbers that were floating out there that I have no idea where they came from, about costs, et cetera. So you never know.
I also think people realize there's more time to talk about that as well. So we're getting it started, but the discussion
Yes,
is only just
exactly.
beginning in terms of Governor Prince, I think. So hopefully there'll be time for the community to respond to that as well. You don't need 500 flyers, though.
I don't know what the correct number is.
350 would probably be a really good number. You might want to just put that
Except
in.
that's half a ream, and normally you get a ream. But anyway, we'll
I
see
mean,
about it.
I'm just making a collection. I have about that many left from the last time we did it, but that's okay.
We ran out at town meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, we did?
We didn't have enough.
Well, I know, but I think at that point, there were probably about 20-something people. You don't think so?
There were very few people left, but we didn't have enough at the very end, which was a good
Well, we
thing.
had enough. They
People
just
took
weren't
them.
in my pocket.
Oh, they weren't, you didn't,
So that's where,
okay.
anyway. Okay. Anything else, Marcia, on this one?
No.
Did you think that the way we tried to work together in small groups seemed to work all right? I know we had some issues with the email.
Yeah, I don't know if there's still some confusion. It's a little bit hard. The 2 groups are kind of hard because, for example, Fran worked on the flyer, but also the distribution issue. But the point is, one is on the content of the messaging, that is the substance of the messaging, which we epitomized in the talking points, but there could be other ways you do that. And the other is turning that into a message that is directed to an audience and getting the distribution rate with it. So that's where we draw the line. You can draw the line in almost anywhere, but, so I thought that generally worked, but, different people do different things, so.
Did those messages that got created by the first team get on the website?
The key talking points are not posted on the website, but the various, I did short updates on projects that I put on the website, so if you were one to look at the website, a lot of people don't look at the website, so they ask a question and we'll say, what's on the website? Well, I never look at that. So I think we got to get people in the habit of looking at, but I tried to work with Mia to update specific, the project status and update status and those kinds of things. But that, the talking points weren't particularly meant to be posted.
It's background material.
It's actually I think it's built upon a very voluminous, and it isn't easily digestible.
Right.
But it's meant to basically answer questions that might come up so that the group that is doing the messaging can derive content from the talking points and then put it in a form that is more digestible or just a bite or answers a particular question or an issue. So I think if there were a particular project we're talking about, there might be more specific questions for which the Penrose one turned out finally to be about 5 pages, because that by then there were some issues that came up, some questions that came up. So it's meant to be the place that anyone who is advocating for a project can turn to and generally find the answer and then decide how to deliver the answer in the best way.
Do you think there would be any benefit to, I hear what everyone's saying about maximizing use of the website, which totally makes sense. Passing out a flyer at the October town meeting, which is not trying to advocate any position, but an update on things, but also really highlighting the website and things that are on that website and encouraging, please look at this every month and see what's happening.
And it certainly doesn't hurt. I know I only look at websites when when I have a question, looking for an answer. So the key is to have up-to-date answers on the website for whatever questions come up. But I think if people would just understand that the website is a good source for information, so that if they have a affordable housing question, they say, well, I'll go on the website and see what I can find. I think Mia does an excellent job, and she's very responsive. Whenever I ask her for an update, it immediately goes on. So to the extent that this,
Our website is chock full right now.
yeah, so
I mean,
to the extent this committee, one way to do it, and you might think about this as a longer term, is there are places in which you can insert links on a short-term basis. Not, you don't want a list of links that goes on forever, that some of which are out of date. But the thing is, it takes somebody, you could even have news from the Affordable Housing Committee, but you don't want old stuff. That's the key. So that means somebody has to commit to looking to it every week, every other day, getting out the old stuff and putting in the new stuff. And just the little that I did, it can be a lot of work. So unless you either have a group that shares it or you have a dedicated staff person, which you don't have a dedicated staff person for that purpose, then, it can lose its usefulness.
I think we should do some research on this newsletter idea through the website and find out a little bit more about that and see how that would work for us going forward in preparation for the results from the housing needs assessment, because that background work will help us to know at the end, it's supposed to be given to the select board in November. So we need to be ready to go in January in terms of sharing anything, I would imagine, if it's approved by the select board, or accepted by the select board. So that gives us something to think about.
If there was somebody else on the committee who would like to partner with me to look at that website on even a monthly basis, maybe, to cull through stuff, and I'd be happy to volunteer. But I think I'd need a partner, at least to start.
We'll write that down. And we will be in touch here.
That's great.
Thank you, Susan. All right. Speaking of the housing needs assessment, it's time to update on that and where we are and the progress of that, and Marcia gets to be that also.
Okay, lots of things are happening, and so I'll get to the survey in a minute, because I think we should spend a little bit of time on the survey, but let me sort of just give you overall. Just to remind everybody, we have all these joint sessions, so in the next 7 months, which is the duration of this project, we have 5 joint meetings to approve 4 deliverables. So there's a lot of work, so things are going to happen fairly fast. So one of the things that I'm just sort of warning is that you can't have a Affordable Housing Committee meeting to talk about something preliminarily and then use a month to comment on it and come back the next month. That's won't work for this kind of stuff. So I apologize for throwing things at you late, et cetera, but that's the nature of where we are. So perhaps as we have our meetings, we should anticipate sort of the next deliverable, the next discussion, and the next thing that is coming due. And I'll try to be a little bit better about reminding us all. But do remember that we have all these joint meetings with the trust board, and hopefully you have it on your calendar and you'll be able to come to most of them. So we have a lot of work to do over the next 7 months. So let me just go over all kind of thing. There's a couple of things that I could use your help on, and to get the word out a little bit more. One, I'm going to pass out. This is the invitee list for the focus groups, and the consultant tells me that they've invited 36 people. The 36 people, George came out with most of them, but we also added some others that were to represent constituencies. So we did try to emphasize employers, Chamber of Commerce, but also specific employers, groups that represent people and groups of people. And we wanted people who could present a point of view that would come out in a focus group. So you see the first 12 are the ones who have accepted, and they've been scheduled for 4 possible times, 2 dates and 2 times on each. But then the remaining, it's 36 minus 12, 24, have not. And so we'll certainly send a reminder, but if you know any of the 24, and I think there's a couple of people on
I
there.
know.
Do you want me to take your spot?
You might want to encourage them to sign up and participate in this. This is only one thing. I mean, there'll be the survey, so the focus group was meant to represent sort of constituencies or groups of folks. If you feel that somebody really should be on this list, or, for example, Fran mentioned the head of the school PTA, we invited the principals, but if you think somebody should be added to the invitee list, I'll be glad to share that with the consultant, and along with the reminders, we can invite a few more people. So let me know, and certainly if you see somebody that you do know, and you can contact them and say, hey, you got this, you probably ignored it, like you ignore most of your emails, but this might be a good thing to participate in.
So is the plan to send this out again and hope
Yeah,
they
because
do it? I mean,
there's a second date of June 27th, so we still have a little bit of time.
I'm just concerned that people who didn't respond at the first time, maybe they don't know what they're needing to do or how important it is. I mean, how are we going to?
That's why the personal touch is often the best. If you know somebody and you can say, this is an important thing, you might want to pay attention to it, that is the best.
So you just want us to randomly pick people we know, which is about all of these people? So, I mean, am I going to call all of these people?
Well, I don't know how you want to, I don't know
Think
how you
about
want.
this, because, I mean, I could contact all of those people right now.
Well, you might want, Liz says something, but you might want to say, I'll call X, and somebody will call Y, et cetera. That's fine if you want to.
Or an email, if we have their contact information.
Well, there will be a reminder email, but the question is, why would they pay attention to it? But if it came from you,
Yeah.
then they might pay attention to it. So if, Nancy, you want to say, well, I can pick number 1, 2, and 5, and somebody else can pick others, that's fine. I'm sorry, Liz had something.
How many people on this list are under 40, other than Ryan and
Now,
Alexis?
I don't know, actually.
know.
I don't know how many of the business.
Oh, the only ones I know is Ryan and Alexis and
Okay,
everybody
so
else.
if you,
So I'm just wondering, because I know that we are the oldest community in Massachusetts, but I find, I find that our generation is the one that's going to be kind of carrying the weight, so to speak. And if we're doing a focus group, and I'm reading through this, it is a little concerning that only 2 people stand out to me being under 40.
well, if you'd like to add, fine. We were trying to
There's a few
have
early 40s in
constituents,
there.
you know, like
There's a couple
employers,
early
et cetera.
40s in there.
I'm looking at I know I haven't hit 40 yet, but like I know Ryan was in my class, so I think he might have hit 40. So then I guess in my mind, I keep thinking of like my nieces, right? I keep thinking like if I would like to see, like if I would like to do one thing for them, what is it that I'd like to do? So I have I have one who's graduating from high school, 2 that are graduating from high school, one, working for Whiteley. She has a full-time job. Is she ever going to be able to get an apartment around here? I mean, that's a worry I have. So I think for me, I'm like, my focus is how do I help the generation that's coming behind me?
Well, 1, you can give me a name, I'll be glad to add them to the list.
Okay.
2, we have a survey, and so when we get to the survey thing, the more the merrier, and please invite everybody to participate in the survey. So this was trying to represent employers,
Yeah.
particular groups that serve particular constituencies, et cetera. But if you want to add a name, please do.
But if we add the names of the OES Elementary School Parent Teacher Association.
I think that's Stacy Knega.
Oh, it is?
I believe so.
Okay.
I can double check.
Yeah, because that was one thought I had, and then, I don't know, the Nauset Regional School Committee, they must have parent-teacher associations also, but those would be young families, which I think would be nice to have those folks represented.
Somebody from Recreation, too, is actually not on here, which I think that's one of the issues that, keeps coming up in our town, and it thinks there might be somebody from that committee. or
You might
somebody-
hate me if I give you the list of people I'm thinking you should call.
They would have to know where
But I
it
know
came
them
from.
too. I was thinking Leah Ruffner, she's involved in Recreation Committee. She has 3 children. They're in the school
Okay, I
age.
think if I pass this around and people initial somebody they would like to have, so we don't bother people more than once. One master sheet, and then we have another, and then Liz can add some more people to that. Would that be a good idea?
Okay,
I don't
that's
want to
great.
call somebody and have everybody else call them, too, so.
Sure.
So let's pick, if you want any of these, just put your name beside that person. This is the master, and that way we won't be bothering people beyond.
I can take 25 through 30.
Oh, those are some of the same people I know.
I don't know. Oh, is it?
I just
I just
don't know
looked at
a
it
whole
like
lot of
divide and
this.
conquer. I don't know them, but I'm good at emailing people.
I think I know 27 through 29.
You want those two? 27 through
Sure.
29, can I give that to
Yep.
Susan? All right, let's do it that way, and then we can just, all right. You want to pick anybody want some numbers here?
You can just give me 19 through 26 then. Very good at emailing.
Going to be
Do lots of email.
25, you're 19 through 25.
Okay.
Anybody else?
And Marcia, you're just asking us to email them a reminder that they've received an invite?
Yeah, and we'll send I'll ask the consultant to send another reminder, like tomorrow,
Right,
so.
and then
wait
we
till
can write,
tomorrow, right.
follow up and say, I hope you're going to be able to sign up for this,
Right.
okay?
You know, some don't like
Everybody.
focus groups, some times won't work, so I understand that.
I suppose for some, to your point, Liz, that if there are, some of these people are sort of the heads of some of these organizations, they may send someone
Yeah.
that they delegate who's a younger person, represents.
I mean, I think all of these are great. I think for me, though, it's just more of I find that depending on the generation that you're in, we tend to all have different focuses and we all approach things differently. And I think that, like, one of the things I say to my friends all the time, I'm constantly telling them to sign up for different boards or to get involved, because I do feel that's very important for my generation to start stepping in, because we are part of the community. And what ends up happening is you have one or two selected people in every generation who end up taking on too much. And so I just have this sort of train of thought with all of my friends. We can all afford a few hours a month, you know. We can all sort of prioritize and say, and I also always tell them, find what you're interested in. Don't sign up for a committee that does airport or something, you know, we have that in Provincetown, if you have no interest in that. So I guess I try to sell boards and committees all the time anyways, because that's my job. I do literally on a daily basis. I have people walking in being like, I want to volunteer. And my first question is, what do you like to do?
Right.
Because I don't want to put you on a board or suggest a board, but,
Yeah.
so
Well, even
sending
with
out
us
these
Whiteheads,
emails is.
we tend to see the same people on committees.
Yeah. I think that's what ends up happening, is you find that even in town, the same people who participate are going to keep participating. And so it's like, how do we get the voices that like to complain on Facebook or like to, you're laughing, but this is
No,
what I'm looking at. Like, how do you find the voices that
Great.
are, you know, complaining on the side? Like, how do we get them into the room? You know, how do you get them away from the keyboard and say, you know, into this type of meeting?
So I signed up for the 31 through 36. And so, interesting, one of my questions was whether the survey and/or the focus groups are just going to be for Orleans residents. But I see Cindy Horgan, for example, is the head of the Cape Cod Children's Place. So I don't know if she lives in Orleans, but
No, it's not meant to be only that, and the survey specifically, and I'll get into that,
Right.
is targeting even people maybe who work here but don't live here, who don't live or work and own property. It's the whole gamut.
that's great.
Okay, so somebody's passing around that list, and we'll get it back to me. Okay.
Bill, I didn't give you any. Did you want some? Do you want to share? Tell yourself and tell yourself to get it.
I know, I just,
I got reminded 3 times already.
Pass that along. And you're going to give some other names to, possible names or not?
yes, I can, write
Okay, and then do
Marcia.
save some, or you can do both for the survey, because that one you send out to tons of folks. But anyway,
Yeah, the only two I was actually thinking of with the same thing that Fran kind of mentioned was the parent who's involved with the head, I think we call it the PTO, which is which is the same thing as PTA, and then you mentioned recreation, so those are the two moms that I can think of.
Okay, great. Thank you.
But you said, Marcia, there's a reminder going out by the consultant tomorrow first.
yeah, I'll ask them, and I will make sure, and I will let you know.
Let
wanna
us
make
know
it-
before we do
Yeah,
this.
you want to wait.
I will,
We
okay.
need to get there and before we follow up with it.
Liz, when I contact Elaine Pender at the elementary school, do you want me to ask for a name,
No, I think
or are you going to
this
do
is
that?
getting it.
No, I'm going to give the two moms that are,
Yeah,
Do
actually.
you know them? Okay.
Because we've been in contact with Elaine Pender, and who's the principal, and basically we're asking them to help us let their staffs, teachers know about the survey.
Okay.
And so George has been in contact with both principals for that, but they're going up to the district office and getting permission and doing all that stuff, so.
Okay. All right, that's a plan.
Okay, shall I move on?
Sure.
All right, so that is just the focus group. Okay. Okay, so let's get into the survey. And sorry again for the late thing, but basically, what was sent out to you, and I'll be glad to go through as much of that as you like, is a sort of an outreach strategy plan for the survey. So if you have any comments on that, or if you want to go through, that's fine. And then some materials you can use, sort of a flyer-type material. There's ones that's supposedly sized just for Instagram, so if anybody does Instagram and wants to post it on Instagram, that one of them is for that. And then what I thought we could talk about is how we might get the word out. So, for example, I gave to Nancy several copies of the flyer. And as we did for the other flyer, maybe you will take some number of them and volunteer to post them somewhere, or to, get them to the library or the Main Street office or whatever, or a rec center or whatever, and just try to get the word out on it. We've now put it on the front, so to speak, of the website about the survey, the availability, and the contact information,
Is
or
it
how
on
to
there?
get to the
Did you say
survey.
it's on there?
I'm sorry?
Did you say you will, or it's,
It's on there now. Mia put it on, I think, late yesterday. It's on there now.
okay, I have one.
But we can put more stuff at different places. I was thinking of doing a little update on the update for the website.
I really want a banner on it or something. I think it's very confusing because the Cape Cod Commission's survey is on there too.
Is it still on there?
Yes, I looked, I don't know if it came off today, but it was there today, and people who fill that out will think they've already done it.
That's
We
true.
need a banner that says for Orleans or something new, whatever. It's got to be, because I think that people will say I've already done it, if they have done it. I don't know how many people hit that one either, but it's going to be confusing because it says it's a
Okay.
regional housing study. And if you read it carefully, you see it's not just Orleans, but housing study seems pretty generic right now.
Okay.
When will this be posted for the public?
I'm sorry?
When will this survey be posted?
It's already
That
up.
out there is
Oh, it's
today.
up and open for the
Open,
public.
yes.
Yeah, and I would encourage each of you to do it,
did.
so that you know what's in it.
But I have some thoughts about
I know,
the
it's too
questions and the,
Too late.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, if it's really a serious issue, then I'll take it up with the consultants, but we needed to get it out. Because basically, we want to get it out before the school is
there
out.
are some really things that need to be changed on this survey.
Okay, why don't you let me know what those are, and I'll work with them on it.
Okay, and you may or may not have seen Scott Flood's email, also with concerns about questions on the survey.
It wasn't clear that he was concerned about how it was asked as what to do with the results, so we can talk about it if you want.
As I read his email, it looks like he would add or change the wording of some of the questions.
Let me look at his email. Adding is hard, because basically, as it is, it's 15 minutes, so you don't want to make it too long.
Okay.
But why don't you share with me those things that you think are important to change?
Could I have a moment, though, to talk about something that's really important that is being asked on that survey?
Okay?
And they talk about zoning, and there are a number of questions about zoning. And that is generally what is brought up about zoning is an impediment to building affordable housing. That is a general thought. In Orleans, we have been very methodical about our zoning. And I don't think that that criticism applies to Orleans, although I'm beginning to hear that there are some people that want to change the zoning in residential areas. So there are two things that I think are not easily understood generally by people. And one, of course, is the more common one, and that is that our wastewater plan requires that any additional development be flow neutral. So to change the zoning, you have to make it flow neutral. So you could change the zoning in areas that have sewers if there's enough capacity in the sewer to accept that extra flow. And I think over time, we've been very careful in planning the zoning to increase the density where there is sewering in our downtown. And so one assumes that most of the added development will be in our downtown area because it's flow neutral. But I don't think people really understand the importance of the flow neutral expectation. And then there's a second thought about zoning, and I have a flyer to pass out to you, which the assumption, I think, on many people is that the downtown maybe has smaller lots, but all the rest of the town has 40,000 square feet zoning regulations, which we do now. But the fact is, a lot of the town was developed prior to that 40,000 square foot zoning coming into effect. So this is a map that I'm passing out that shows the size of the properties that are in Orleans. And the red ones, for example, are, and there are many of them throughout the town, that are 20,000 square feet, up to 20,000 square feet. And the important thing about that is that Orleans, unlike other towns, when they adopted the 40,000 square feet, they accepted all of the smaller lots, not by, as a right. They accepted them as legal
Non-conforming.
and not non-conforming. They're not non-conforming. So if they were non-conforming, like most towns did, then you could go to the Zoning Board of Appeals and go through all of the hassles of building something larger on a smaller lot. But in Orleans, we didn't put them non-conforming, we put them legal. And that means you don't have to go through the permitting process. They are by right. And what you do with a legal 20,000 square foot lot is you have to agree to setbacks and other regulations, but you do not have to go through that permitting process that you would otherwise. So I think it's really important for people to understand that we have some 40,000 square foot zoning properties in our town, and actually a lot of them, but it's maybe half of them. It's not all of them. So I think that when we start talking about zoning, and I'm hearing the rumble of people wanting to start talking about zoning, we have to be really careful that we understand what's the current situation. So the questions in that survey are misleading, and I think that do not understand the implications of the questions, and people answering the questions would have no idea about this.
I have some concerns about the survey too, Marcia, and I did not, I thought we were looking at it, I didn't realize it was live on the website already, because I just,
It's not ready.
I think,
Okay,
It's out there.
let me, I don't know exactly how to deal with it, because then we're going to delay this. I disagree with you on zoning, actually, and I started talking to George about what changes we might be. It's not necessarily
Then we
good.
need a conversation about it.
Yeah, exactly. But the survey isn't based on people understanding zoning or not, per se. So I actually think that we should, and maybe it's in relationship to the planning board, talk with the planning board about how we talk about zoning.
Exactly.
And I actually do have some ideas of changes to the zoning, which I think would facilitate it.
Great.
And so George and I have been talking about that. I think this is a longer-term conversation to have. But I don't agree that zoning is off the table as a change.
I'm not suggesting that, but I think that we need to clarify that the questions in the survey, I think, are misleading, when, as they relate
I
to
don't
zoning.
see that they're misleading. I disagree with that. Now, and I don't know that somebody responding to the survey has to understand the zoning in Orleans and choices that have been made in the past in order to fill out the survey.
questions are vague enough that if you were afraid of zoning, you might answer them one way, and if you really like zoning, and I think that's, they're not specific to any particular issue. It's more like.
Which is a perception that we would have to deal with, and is often the case, is that people don't want to change zoning, period. Now, the other thing that is happening that I think will be helpful is the regional housing strategy is specifically looking at zoning in Barnstable County and what the various jurisdictions are doing, have done, are thinking of doing. So I think we will have a little bit, because to me, some of these issues are regional as well as just town by town. So I think the discussion of zoning will be very fruitful in the future, but it is very complicated, I understand that. So I guess the question is if there's something inherently, not just that you're asking about zoning, but people don't understand zoning, because that's often the case, but if there's, like Nancy says, something really structurally, what's the word I want, deficient, then let's talk about it. If we do have to pull the survey out change it, and then put it back on, then we just have to think about, one, I'm worried about getting it before school is out, and two, how long we're going to let the survey stay. So
The
we
question
can,
is, how much of this survey data is going to be the basis for their report? Because
part of it is because if those who are on the selection committee will remember, we really don't have good data about employees who work in Orleans who don't live in Orleans. One of the advantages to this way they structured the survey is that if you check, I live in Orleans, you get one series of questions. If you check, I work in Orleans but don't live in Orleans, you get different questions.
that's very
Et cetera.
important. because-
If you check that you own property and you don't live, you get it. So there's several different versions. Many of them are the same. They still ask you what you think is needs, but they might ask slightly different questions in slightly different ways. So what I'm hoping is this survey will give us more information than any of the statistical sources we have, censuses, et cetera, about people who live here, don't work here, send their kids to school here, but don't live here, and those combinations of things.
Well, it's
So-
encouraging to know that there were more than one pathway, because when I was filling it out, living full-time in Orleans, I didn't feel like I really could
Right.
answer the
So they
question.
ask you if you
The questions I would like to have
Right.
answered.
If you're a seasonal owner, but you live here less than X months a year, that's another set of
I'll
questions.
let Liz in, she's going to.
Sorry, so there's two things. One, the only thing I would say about the survey, because I know we can't change it, is that I was really confused as to why you kept switching the way in which it went from positive to negative and then negative to positive. That was that would be the only thing, because I recognize once it's live. But I hear a lot of discussion about zoning, and yet we're not, and I don't know if it's, and again, we hear planning, but why are we not also including sort of the Board of Health in this? Because, when Fran's saying that we have lots that are 20,000 square feet, you're only able to build, according to the Board of Health, 2 bedrooms.
It depends on whether you're going to be sewered. It all depends on the access to the sanitary sewer system.
So I understand that, but I also understand that if you have certain regulations in place, because we have town water, you can do additional bedrooms. The Board of Health decides that.
If you have a septic system, right?
Right, so if you have a 20,000 square foot lot and you're getting town water, we still, in Orleans, because of the regulations of the Board of Health, only allow 1 bedroom per 10,000 square feet.
But if you're hooked up to the sanitary sewer system, you're not limited.
You don't need to have that even if you're not, if you're on the sewer, if the Board of Health regulations are changed.
Okay.
So that's why I'm
we're
saying,
getting
like, when we
into the
talk about,
stat-
but I understand that, but what I'm saying, when we're looking at housing and we're talking about different housing, for example, if you have a lot that's pre-existing and you have a house on it and you want to put an ADU unit on it and you currently have a septic system, because we're talking about ADUs, you can't. So I'm wondering why the Board of Health isn't included in this group.
In terms of a focus group or in terms
Yeah.
of survey?
Just in a focus group, because is there ways that as a town, they can say, okay, if you have a lot and you're looking to build an accessory dwelling unit, would that allow for a variance? Or would that allow for a change? Or would that be a trigger?
If you want to invite
just-
somebody on the Board of Health to a focus group, that's fine. I don't think there's any problem. I don't know that they're going to answer your
Try to
question.
stay
in
on the
focus-
topic of the survey, I think, because I think
I understand the concerns with the survey. I went through it, and I had some concerns too, but, and then the next email that I saw was it did go out to the public, so it's out there. So if we make changes now,
We'll have to pull it.
then you're going to have version 1 and you're going to have version 2. How do you analyze the answers if I already answered it? And now it's changed and upgraded, and I'm not going to get another chance to answer it.
I don't think we should actually.
I understand there's concerns with it, but I think we got to leave it alone at this stage. It may not be perfect, but I think, I don't understand how you handle it after you have 2 versions out there.
I'm
That's,
sorry we didn't have a chance to see.
oh, I am too. I thought we were going to too. I understand that, but not having that opportunity now, I don't see what we can do. That's my thought.
Just have a question about the outreach ideas in terms of the survey. There's a whole list of places to post flyers like this. Do you want to have each of us take on a certain area instead of duplicating efforts?
Good point.
Or
Well, if you walk up to someplace, you already see it.
Someplace else.
Well, I suppose that's one approach.
That's one way to do it.
I don't have that many, actually. I think,
Okay.
well,
So I,
I'll
I'm
go
not
to
saying
the-
don't revise it, I'm just
no, I
saying
don't,
that
I don't really
see an
think
issue
that
if we do.
there's a possibility to revise it either, because people have maybe already started it. I am happy to know that there was a different pathway for different answers of the group that you're in, because that's one thing I did not know, that hopefully will, I would love to see those questions, though, for the people who, don't live in the town, because that was a piece that it just got lost as soon as I started answering, and so,
Let me see if I can, I sort of went one direction, but I'll ask them whether they have well, they must have a master version somewhere, so let me
I
ask.
think they, I would think
You
so.
might ask, them, is it possible to make any changes at this point and still be able to analyze the
Depends how
data,
significant the changes are.
do crosstabs and whatever?
If it's just a wording, maybe, that's fine, but if you're talking about a different structure or a whole new set of questions, that's different, you know?
I think the message here is that we need to review before something goes out, and I think that is.
And that's what, it is going to be difficult to do it, because again, we have 7 months to complete 4 deliverables. But I understand what you're
That is
saying.
not-
I was disappointed that it came in even late for the distribution, but
When did it go up?
it actually just, what, 2 days
This
ago?
afternoon. Pardon me?
What did she say? I think a couple days ago, actually, not that long.
I don't think it was on the website. I think it came out in the we got the, anyway, it's very recent. But the important thing is that it is out there, and it is a,
I got it today.
Yeah, but she sent it yesterday.
for the
Oh, no, but
record,
I'm
for
saying it
the,
went to the town highlights
Yeah.
today.
Oh, yeah.
for the record for this public meeting, what's important is that whether there was a little disconnect in the way it was put up a little soon, there is good information on there that people can have a chance to have a say, and hopefully people will take advantage of this opportunity to share their thoughts on the topics. The other point is there are several blocks on this survey for other opinions, others, things that didn't get asked on the survey. So my advice to anyone who feels that they need to say more, to use those blocks and put them in. I fill my block up quite a lot, and I think it's okay because they gave you that option. So I think there are options for doing that. So I want to encourage people to do the survey, and we will use information to help us understand more.
I believe it went live on June 5th.
Yesterday.
Yesterday. So there couldn't be more than a handful of people probably that took it.
If it's very serious or issues, then I'd be glad to talk to them about it. Just keep in mind that there are so many things we can ask of so many people, so. But anyway,
We also have the focus groups and other options too, so.
and still, you have 4 deliverables you're going to have to, including one joint meeting, we were talking about goals and strategies and the feedback from the civic engagement.
To that point, are we going to be able to see those before the meeting, or
It's
they?
going to be hard to do it. I need to talk to you about the timing, because it's also when the working group, there is a small working group meets before each joint committee. So there's a working group, there's a draft, there's a joint committee, there's a revision
I
of the
understand that,
draft.
but already the working group did not get to review the survey, so we've already shown that that's not working. I'm in the.
Okay, then we might
Did
need,
not get to look at it before it was.
we might need more
made live.
frequent working group meetings then.
So, I mean, that was the point, we were supposed to review things prior to, but we didn't do that.
Okay.
So, we're all friends here, but I think this is something we've got to deal with, because this is the first thing, and it did not go as smoothly as I would have hoped it would. Because basically, we really want really good information from this. We don't want to just go through the process of doing
Sure,
it. So, anyway.
Nancy, I'm just going to say, I'm going to go around to the housing nonprofits and post these.
Thank you, Susan.
Just
I like the way you
going
just
from the
step it out,
big to
Susan.
the minuscule, because I'd like to talk to them about, having their clients complete it too,
Right.
which I think could be,
That would be great.
So I felt like I kind of got mixed messages on, are we allowed to post this to social media?
Yes.
Because you said Instagram, but I have an email from George telling me not to post anything.
No, he was talking about the Facebook account, but I think that's not an issue.
Because the Facebook account that I usually post to is like the Orleans community page.
Yeah.
Because
It's fine.
I feel like that page would definitely have a lot of people who visit, who have different demographics.
Part
I
of the
don't want to
issue,
speak for George, but I think the issue on that was encouraging voting for certain
Right,
things, and this is just
It was advocacy
information about
for
a
a
survey. I
vote.
think that was the distinction,
Okay.
so.
I will make sure it gets on social media.
Thanks. All right. That was fun, Marcia. Anything else you'd like to talk about?
what else is going on? Lots of things are going on, so, let's see. So we have a working group meeting coming up soon, and then we have the first joint meeting. When is that? July, right, July, and we're going to get the report on the data analysis. So what you might be indicating is that we want a working group meeting sooner, because what it is, and I think the consultant needs to get rid of it, get used to it. You have a meeting, you have a distribution the week before, then you have a working group before that, which can lead to a change, which can lead to something changing in the distribution before you get to the joint meeting, for which then there might be revisions wanted, and then it's just we're going to need to tighten up that time frame if we're going to get through the next 7 months.
I think maybe we could meet maybe and talk a little bit more about this.
Okay.
And the details of this.
We might need another working group meeting soon.
Okay, has everyone had enough to say on this topic? Anything else? Hold on, oh, do we need to send out information about the survey to people too? Is that another?
Yeah, the other thing is, and we got
A little go
a little bit on the focus group, what is really helpful, and the more the merrier, is if you would get the word out on the survey, whether we do it again or not, to as many folks as you can think of to start passing the word for people. To the extent that we can get to the folks that we don't normally get to, I think that would be helpful.
I think it's
Marcia,
critical.
when does the survey close?
See, at this point, it's due to close at the end of the month. I think it was 28th or 29th. We might want to think about whether we're going to leave it open or not. I was anxious to get it out before school ended.
You know, the timing is off because we're going into summer and people are focusing on
Yeah,
lots of
yeah.
other things.
I was very anxious to get it out before school.
Now, a lot of these, also, I noticed on that paper of the outreach, you know, sending information to chairs and to a lot of things that it
Yeah.
seems like should come out of your office.
Yeah, actually, George and I have talked about it. He's going to be sending out a lot of stuff within it. We're trying to get the word out to department heads, to get out to the employees of the town. Same thing with schools. We're trying to work through the schools so they get it out to their staffs and encourage their teachers and staff to fill it out too. So we're trying to get that done sooner rather than later. So I think the rest of the stuff will take care of this, a lot of the email stuff we can take care of. It was really more the networks of acquaintances we have, and especially if you have acquaintances that aren't the folks who always reply to the surveys, that would be great.
We just really want younger people. We do not want it skewed to the people that usually respond to my survey. Even filling out the survey, I thought, why am I doing that? I'm that demographic that doesn't help at all, and I just,
I'm very anxious to get employees.
you know, I just really feel we need those people. I think we really need to think about how we get as many people as possible to do
Right.
this, and can we get a hit on this? Can they tell us how many people have filled out this survey? Can we get some updates, like
Oh, sure,
every week?
sure.
Let's do that and say, you know, if
Okay.
10 people have filled it out, let's find this out.
Yep.
So we can do a push on it, because I just don't want to get to the end of June and find out, well, we didn't have much of a turnout here when we could have maybe been able to do it.
Now, just keep in mind, this is all so that we get information, some of which we have lesser information than others, but one way or another, we're going to make decisions here based on statistical sources, surveys, as well as anything else.
It's not the only way we're getting information,
right.
but it may be one of the few ways we're going to get the demographic that Liz is talking about. Hopefully, that we can get them to respond, maybe.
I haven't seen the questionnaire. Does it ask your age range?
Yeah,
It does
that
ask
you
basic
can-
demographics, yeah.
That'd be interesting.
All right,
The resource question?
certainly.
Is there any point, I'm assuming you're sharing the link with the Orleans Chamber, but is there any